I took a nap because you got to be sharp, or I was just tired. Got this cut, you know what I mean? I'll show y'all. Hold on, let me get to this light. I'm gonna show y'all exactly what it look like. Here we go. Yeah, y'all didn't know that was up under there before, see? All right, welcome back, y'all. It's your boy, Chad, aka Atlasthemd student. Please don't forget the student. And we're back with another vlog. This week, I'm going to be showing you the last week of my internal medicine clerkship. So for the past 6 weeks, I have been in the hospital doing the backbone of medicine, internal medicine. So today, what I just came from is my OSCE. It's been hard for me to remember to vlog, guys. That's the main problem. Today, I had my OSCE, which stands for Observed I don't know. But it's basically where they test you on your clinical skills. So we're presented with the patient and then tasked to do a full history, physical exam, and then write the note afterwards and put in the correct test to order per what we feel the patient has. So first one is different than seeing like a regular patient in the hospital, because when you're with a regular patient, you have like this unlimited amount of time and you can kind of take your time and work them up fully. But for this, we had like 15 minutes. So it's really kind of rushed, and it's all about passing. And kind of like the passing is kind of like a low threshold to do anyway. So I think I passed, and that's all you really need. So now I am on the way home to do a practice test. So my shelf exam is on Friday. We get the last half of Wednesday and Thursday off. So I've been preparing beforehand. So now I'm going to do my first practice test. Basically going to do one a day, probably do like 1 or 2 Wednesday and definitely 2 on Thursday to be super prepared, because I want to honoring the shelf is subjective because half of our grade is done by our physician and resident comments. And the other half is what you make on the shelf. So I want to take care of my half, which is what I make on the shelf, and let the comments be what they be. So I'm gonna do my part, and hopefully it works out in my favor. So on the way home, do some practice. Okay, done with the practice test. First one, if I would have knocked it out the park, then there wouldn't be no need for me to do any practice. Okay, guys, just finished the workout. It was a really quick one, like 30 minutes tops, because I gotta get home. It's like 1:21 right now. Gotta get home to do this other applicant interview at 2, and hopefully maybe I can eat before, but if not, I'll just eat afterwards. So gonna get there. See y'all in a minute. Okay, a full, it sounds like 4 to 5 hours later, and I am done. That is 900 cards today, guys. 900. So word to the wise, don't miss 4 or 5 days of stuff. I missed it because I was focusing on practice exams and other stuff, but never again. So now, I thought I was gonna do that practice exam today after this, but that's not what happened. So that's the end of the night, guys. We're gonna take a shower and prepare for tomorrow. Plan is to wake up early, get one practice exam in, and then do another one in the afternoon, and use the evening to tie up any loose ends. Use the evening to tie up any loose ends that need to be done. And really what I'm noticing in my practice exams is that like I know the information, but the way NBME, which is National Board of Medical Examinations, the way that they ask questions is different than, it's like slightly different than what UWorld does. And what it really does is it tests, so UWorld gives you kind of more details, and you will give you more details that point you in the direction of how you need to be thinking, versus the NBME will give you all the information that you need, but you need to have all of this background information to formulate your thinking. So you need to know your differential, your lab values, and how to interpret them, versus like, I think UWorld kind of points you more in the direction of where you should go. And I think like the first two have been an adjustment because I keep going back and looking at my missed questions, and I'm like, I knew that, and I was just a little lazy in my thinking and didn't quite get to the answer. So the next time I'm planning to see a good jump in scores, because you know we got goals and aspirations to meet. So we're gonna try to put this new strategy, or just keep those things in mind to make sure we do well. But yeah, that's the end of the night. Good morning. Good Thursday morning, everyone. Plus 5, now up at 6:30. So, like I mentioned, we are going to bang out this practice test and hopefully see greater improvement, and then basically get the day started, handle some errands, couple meetings around lunch, and then come back and do another one this afternoon. Since, you know, preparing for the end of a block routine, Bay's gonna come into town and we take the show from the morning. So let's pray that my big study session from last night and my new approach works out this time. We need to see some good results on this practice one. So we're back. Got this cut, you know what I mean? I'll show y'all. Hold on, let me get to this light. I'm gonna show y'all exactly what it look like. Here we go. Yeah, y'all didn't know that was up under there before, see? But anyways, we're back home. It's about 9, almost 10 o'clock. So we have this like virtual group fair, basically all the interest groups at my school. We usually do it in person, but it's virtual. That's at 12. So since I got 2 hours, I'm gonna watch the Emma Holiday lecture for internal medicine. It's basically like a high yield lecture source. It's supposed to be pretty good. It's 2 hours long. So I'm gonna watch that kind of as a review of everything, and then do this little thing. And then hopefully probably take another practice test around like 2:30, 3 o'clock. So yeah, busy day of preparing for the shelf tomorrow.
Yeah, so most of them won't all be increased if you catch it early enough. So they have different rates of rise depending on the different cardiac enzymes. So we check every 6 to 8 hours to detect a trend.
Oh, look at the light. That's part. Okay, status update. Did that 2-hour Emma holiday lecture series. It was good. Gave me a good overview of where I was at, what I need to pay more attention to, but overall good review there. And prior to taking this next practice exam, which I'm about to do, I took a nap because you got to be sharp, or I was just tired. But either way, so did that. So now I'm about to take this practice exam. Aaliyah should be here in about an hour, and his practice exam is going to take about an hour and 15 minutes. I'm probably going to have to stop in the middle of it, but that's okay because you can do that on these. Not on the real one, but on these you can do that. All right, see y'all later. Now that the storm has passed and I can finally sit back and breathe about my internal medicine rotation, I'm going to give you guys the rundown of what happened. I'm sorry, through the vlog, it's hard for me to remember to show certain things, and it's also hard to actually show them within the hospital because of rules and regulations and HIPAA. So I'm gonna get better of doing what I can, but then also I'll just have to kind of summarize for you all the main important thing. So on a day-to-day basis, right? I think I mentioned this earlier, but just so that I make sure I have it. I was in there early, like I mentioned, 6 o'clock, 6:30, and your job as the medical student is you're assigned your number of patients. For us, it was always between like 2 to 4, depending on where you were at, how many people were on your list. Typically, we had a team, which included a attending physician, and then you had about 3 residents, 2 first-year interns, and 1 upper level. And then we also usually had a 4th-year med student who was on their sub-internship, meaning that they're acting as an intern in preparation to match, okay? And then my team had 3 medical students, and most other teams had about 2 to 3 medical students. So your job as the medical student is to find out in the morning, do you have a new patient? Do you not have a new patient? If you have a new patient, then you need to read up on their history, learn about why they're there, figure out what's the plan gonna be. And then if you have older patients who were like, you've been following for a couple of days or a week or whatever, is making sure nothing crazy happened overnight, reviewing their labs, make sure everything is normal, and then seeing what's on the schedule for them to do today, whether it's a procedure or they have to go do something or whatever it may be, what's their plan for that day. And after you do that is when you actually go and see them, which is called pre-rounding. You'll go see that patient and then talk to them about how they feel about what's going on, inform them about the plan, really get a feel for how they are doing with all that's been going on in the hospital. So you get done with that, and it's up to you to know what time you need to get to the hospital to do all of those things and be ready to do rounds, which rounds is when the entire team will go and see every patient and talk about every patient, so that everybody on the team knows what's going on with each patient for the day. And this is where medical students talk about your presentations, because once you've done all that background work on your patient, when it comes time for rounds, you're going to present that information to the attending physicians and upper level residents. And that's just so that you can say everything that's going on with them, their past medical history and their current thing, your plan, what you think is going on. You can, all of the information you can present or say in a very concise manner that gives them a good impression without spending 30 minutes talking about this person, because you really have about 3 to 5, maybe. About 3 is good, because you get close to 5 and people start losing their attention span. So about 3 minutes to get everything you need out. So rounds usually took about, if you had a good attending who was real about efficiency, you know what I mean? Rounds took about 2 hours, right? Because you have about 10 to 15 patients. Everybody's got to go see them up and down the floors of the hospital. So that usually took about 2 hours. Now, if you had an attending who loved to teach or loved to talk or whatever, way that went, then it could go 2.5, 3 hours, right? So that's there. My teams usually started rounding at 9:30, and then you get done right at lunch. You do lunch, and as medical students, we always had lectures sometimes in the afternoon, and so that meant you went and learned about things that could possibly help you just become a better clinician or do well on your shelf exam or step 2 or something like that. If you didn't have one of those, then the afternoon was meant to follow up on the things that need to be done for your patients that afternoon. So that means ordering their labs or making sure that they get a procedure done, or calling a family member to make sure that you have all of their medical information, calling other hospitals to make sure that you have all of their necessary information. So it's about executing the plan that you put forth that morning. And aside from that, doing whatever residents ask you to do. And if you didn't have any of that, then your attending may take you aside and teach you something that's gonna be beneficial for you. So that's the general layout of internal medicine. Fairly busy. And on top of all that, like I mentioned, I usually leave the hospital at 5. So then it's about, what are you gonna prioritize? Is it about going to work out, which I would try to do 3-4 times a week, 5 was a good week, and then coming home and studying. So full-time job hours and then full-time student hours. So you do the math, right? The interesting things that I was able to be a part of, I think, while a lot of it was interesting necessarily, but for me, I just had a lot of like very beneficial experiences. I had one patient who came in like after seizures and alcohol withdrawal, and he met me about a week into his stay, and then I ended up being with him for about 2 weeks. And I just came in to listen to him for like 30-40 minutes every morning. We would just talk. I would go ahead and set aside that 30-40 minutes because I knew we would just talk, and it would be him just, essentially venting about, the struggles of staying in the hospital and what's going on, but really he just needs somebody to listen to. And I would just do that. And I didn't think I was doing much, but he ended up writing me like a really heartfelt letter at the end of just like how appreciative he was of me listening to him. And it kind of teaches you the lesson as a student that even though sometimes you don't know everything that's going on medically with somebody, if you can just be the person that is their advocate and will listen and pay attention and treat everyone with the utmost respect, then that's all a lot of patients or people in general will need. So that was a great experience to have earlier on in my like internal medicine rotation. I was like about halfway through when that happened. I think the other important experience I had was a young Black male, new diagnosis of diabetes, and we kind of connected just in that like wasn't much younger than me, and having this new diagnosis obviously like a major life change, but having someone who looks like you, can relate to you, can understand what you're going through, like being in college and having this and kind of being able to just talk about like, listen, this is not a permanent diagnosis. You can obviously be able to make lifestyle changes and get there, but just being able to connect with just about life and things we go through in our states was really good, and kind of tell it had an impact on them. It was one of those times where you see like, even though someone's in the hospital for days at a time, like still them being excited to see you walk through their hospital room, whether it's just like a level of comfort or a level of just like, this isn't as bad as I thought. So that was another great experience to have. And let me see. Interesting things. I mean, things that I never thought I was gonna see. Like you only hear in textbooks and you thought it was just like eradicated, or you wouldn't see them. TB, tuberculosis, syphilis, like one of my patients was like fungal endocarditis, so just an infection in the heart from a fungus. You see a lot of interesting things, and it really just depends on where you're at. Us being at a major academic institution, you can see just about anything walk through the door. Lots of great experiences. So overall, I was really pleased with my rotation. The other thing I should mention is that you were, again, just like I mentioned in other rotations, you get to deal with so many different people. So, we started off with one team of residents and an attending, and then you switch because the attending switch every 2 weeks and the residents switch every month. And in the middle of my rotation, the team that I was on got switched to the COVID team. So we had to go to a completely different team. So we ended up having like 2 different teams, 5 different attendings, 8 different residents over a 6-week span. So being able to be flexible is really, really integral in being successful. So tips, I would say, to doing well. I'm gonna pause on that till we figure out what, if I did as well. So from the comments I got, from a subjective standpoint, the comments I got from my attendings was really, really good in terms of feedback. And it was just about being a great listener, being a great communicator, and being very attentive, because I don't look at myself as someone who's just extremely, extraordinarily intelligent. I had a classmate who literally, I think this boy might be a genius, but I don't look at myself as that. Where I think one of my stronger points is actually just being dedicated to figuring out things that I don't know. And my attendings recognize that. which was, being dedicated about finding out what was going on with my patients and being able to say, like, I looked this up, I did this, I talked to them, pay attention to them. So doing that was one of the things that they were impressed with, which I think as medical students, as people in general, if you're interested, just show your interest. So being a great communicator, being a great listener, and being attentive and dedicated to your work, your job is what my initial advice would be. And when I find out how everything went down, I'll give y'all like the great tips to be very successful. So yeah, will I do it in the future? Will internal medicine be in my future? Is that what you ask? I don't know. There's certain things that I said I liked, which is like the teamwork aspect, the inpatient educational aspect I did enjoy, the variety I enjoyed. But at the same time, there were some things that I just was not a fan of, wasn't fond of. There were some things that came in that just like weren't interesting, didn't tickle my fancy. So great experience, love the clinic environment, but we're not pulling the trigger on an internal medicine subspecialty at the moment. But if you have questions more about internal, please feel free to comment. As always, like, subscribe if you want more of this. We are growing, guys. I mean, we started out in June. It's September, and we're nearing that 1K mark on subscribers. So I need for you guys to tell a friend that this channel is going up, and you don't want to be left out. All right, but until then, it is Atlasthemd student. Please don't forget the student, and we'll see y'all later.